Welcome back to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba.
And I'm Irving Price.
All right, we've got Tim Bost, editor and publisher of Financial Cycles Weekly. I go way back with this gentleman. Tim is one of the world's leading experts in correlations between planetary cycles and trends in the equities and futures markets. He provides forecasting and consulting services, creates training programs for traders, and is a personal coach and mentor to top astro traders around the world. So Tim is the author of a number of books, including GAN Secrets Revealed, Mercury Money in the Markets, and most recently, the big one, The Great American Eclipse and its impact on the markets. Since 1988, Tim has been the editor of Financial Cycles Weekly. It's a weekly newsletter, a publication that he has earned him a consistent ranking in the top 10 market timers by Timer Digest magazine. So Astro Trading creates a unique advantage. It adds planetary cycle analysis to the tools of fundamental analysis, technical analysis, to identify high probability trades. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen out there, I personally have experienced this. The best traders in the world are Astro traders that use other technical analysis and fundamental analysis, too, on top of it when it comes to market timing. Tim, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Michael. Delighted to be with you gentlemen today.
My pleasure. You're on the show today not only because, you've taught me a lot of stuff and kept me from shooting my foot off a few times, but we've got an eclipse coming up that the likes of which the United States hasn't seen for, 38 years? Is that about right?
It's right 99 years. It's been quite a while since we've had an eclipse of this magnitude. And, of course, this is coming up on Monday of this next week, on August the 21st. One of the things that's unusual about this particular eclipse is that it will be visible, at least partially, through almost all of the continental U.S. This is a total solar eclipse, and there's a path of totality that's about 70 miles wide that will start on the Pacific coast in Oregon, cut all the way across the middle of the country, and then go through the Carolinas. It ends near Charleston, South Carolina. And so this is what's really the remarkable feature of this eclipse, the fact that it covers the entire United States. The last time we had one that did anything similar to this was back in 1918, and prior to that it was in 1811. So this is a fairly rare kind of occurrence when we get one of this magnitude with this amount of visibility within the continental U.S.
Open up for the audience when you talk about the path of totality, that what that means, not necessarily in being able to see the total eclipse, what it means outside of that little window in regards to reactions to the magnetic pull, the geomagnetic pull of the sun on that area. Do things happen in the path, outside the path, and what does it touch, if you will, using a euphemism, to create action and reaction around that path?
Okay, well, essentially what we're looking at with any solar eclipse is a very particular kind of alignment between the sun, the moon, and the earth. All solar eclipses occur at new moons. So we get about 13 new moons during the course of a year. And so not all of them are solar eclipses, but all solar eclipses are new moons. And from the Earth's perspective, what this says is the sun and the moon are aligned with each other and are at the same point in the sky. Typically one's a little bit higher than the other. We call this the dark of the moon, the new moon, because we can't see the moon at night because it's in the same position as the sun. So as the sun sets, the moon sets too. The full moon is the opposite end of that monthly lunar cycle, and every once in a while we'll get a full moon that is a lunar eclipse. So we get these two types of eclipses that work in pairs. Whenever we have a solar eclipse, we also get a lunar eclipse. At least one. Sometimes there's one before the solar eclipse and one after it. In this case, we had a lunar eclipse on August the 7th, about 2 weeks ago. and the solar eclipse is coming up on Monday. So with this specific alignment, then, what we're doing is creating a particular resonant field that affects events on the Earth. When we are under the path of totality, what happens is the orb of the moon literally sits in front of the sun, so it blocks out the sun's light. That's going to be the case if you are anywhere under the path of the eclipse next Monday afternoon. And for about 2.5 minutes, there'll be day will literally turn into nighttime in that area. Now, I should caution our listeners that if you are in that area and are able to see this eclipse, do not look directly at it unless you have the appropriate protective eyewear, because it can do severe damage to your eyes. We do want to caution you about that. It's going to be a spectacular kind of thing. We're expecting traffic jams on the highways across the country as this happens. People are going to be stopping, trying to look at it and whatnot. So what we want to do is make sure that you have special eclipse viewing glasses that are virtually opaque so that you can actually see this if you're looking directly at it. Otherwise, don't stare at the eclipse. It has a tremendous effect if you're under the path of it directly. Now, this also creates a resonant field north and south of that line that crosses the entire continental United States. And we'll get some other effects as well, even though it will only be seen as a partial eclipse in many of those areas.
Well, Tim, let me turn this a little bit. Geopolitical impact and markets. Talk to us about that.
Well, one of the things that we find is that eclipses create a great deal of stress in geopolitical affairs. Now, I should point out here that even though this particular kind of eclipse is rare in U.S. history, eclipses themselves are not that rare a phenomenon. We get two solar eclipses, at least two solar eclipses each calendar year. The question is, where are they visible? And they're visible at different parts of the globe at different times. Sometimes you have to be in Antarctica to see the solar eclipse. Other times it'll be over Asia or Australia or Africa, wherever it may be. So what's rare about it is the particular location of this one. What we do with our astro trading techniques is look at the solar eclipses as a very special type of planetary cycle, and we're always concerned about the area of visibility because those are the parts of the Earth where we will typically get the most geopolitical stress. And some of the greatest tension will occur immediately preceding the eclipse, sometimes a little bit after it as well. And that certainly has been the case in the U.S. because this eclipse literally cuts the country in half. And metaphorically, we can speak of a divided nation here in terms of a lot of political issues. But it also has to do with the U.S.'s relationship to other countries and the economy as a whole.
Now,
whenever we get times of high geopolitical stress, this can create major upsets. Sometimes there are wars, other kinds of conflicts, embargoes, whatever it may be, and this can in turn impact the markets in a very direct way. As
well as humans that we were talking earlier, because there are specific people that can be more affected by this than others, like Kim Jong-un or Donald Trump or other people that have their aspects set up. Talk to us.
Exactly. Yeah, this impacts individuals as well.
Yeah, go down that path because you've done studies on this. You've got birth charts on key global figures that this may have an influence on, and we may see reactions there. I want to get into that.
Absolutely, right. And this is featured in the new book called The Big One, The Great American Eclipse and Its Impact on the Markets. That's available from Amazon.com, by the way. And in that book, we have a special section on the impacts of this particular solar eclipse, and a number of world leaders, including Angela Merkel, Emmanuel Macron, Vladimir Putin, Narendra Modi in India, Xi Jinping in China, Kim Jong-un, and Donald Trump as well. They all get very strong impacts personally from this solar eclipse. And what we've discovered is that the position of the solar eclipse will impact various dynamics in the natal horoscopes of these individuals, which then set them up for particular kinds of engagement in geopolitical affairs. For example, with Kim Jong-un, what this does is exacerbate his tendency toward paranoid thinking. He's going to believe that he's being attacked whether he's attacked or not, in any overt way. So this creates a very, very volatile situation. We've been through a few weeks already of nuclear brinkmanship there. And I think it's worth noting here that on the day of the solar eclipse, starting next Monday, the U.S. will begin major military exercises in South Korea, involving a lot of U.S. troops plus South Korean troops. Now, we do this with some regularity in that area. We like to practice our military skills, but starting this on the date of the eclipse itself, and having Kim Jong-un's chart being impacted the way it is by the eclipse, he's very likely to believe that this is more than a war game going on there. So it's a very, very dangerous situation that we're approaching in that particular part of the globe.
Tim, we've got to take a break. We'll come back with Tim Bost on the other side of this commercial break, and we're going to pick up where we left off. You've been listening to Tim Bost, editor-publisher, FinancialCyclesWeekly.com, on CEO Money with Michael Yorba and
Mervyn Price.
We'll be right back.